everyone he meets, he stays a stranger. With every move he makes, another chance he takes. Odds are he won't live to see tomorrow. Secret agent man, secret agent man, they've given you a number and taken away your name. Where are pretty faces that you find? A pretty face can hide an evil mind. Oh, be careful what you say, or you'll give yourself away. Odds are you won't live to see tomorrow. Secret agent man, secret agent man, they've given you a number and taken away your name. Secret agent man, secret agent man, they've given you a number and taken away your name. Swinging on the Riviera one day, then laying in the Bombay alley next day. No, you let the wrong word slip while kissing persuasive lips. Odds are you won't live to see tomorrow. Secret agent man, secret agent man, they've given you a number and taken away your name.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, we have got a glorious panel here to get into the shit talking and the shenanigans that you have all come to look forward to. We will get into this weekend's minuscule plopping of combat sports that we've got to break down and get into in just a little bit here. But before we get into the fun and shenanigans just quite yet, gotta welcome these wonderful motherfuckers here to do this damn show with me. First and foremost, this not quite baby face, but not quite where we're at yet face motherfucker, Young Gunner. How you doing, RJ?
Doing good. Doing pretty good. That's slightly hurtful, but I mean, people have said less or more hurtful things to me, you know. Very self-conscious about my facial hair meter, you know that. But
That's why I could have went hard. I went light. I started right.
I appreciate that. I do from the bottom of my heart. But as per usual, except for last week, because I was a tired little bitch last week. And I was definitely reprimanded severely for not doing this. Again, everybody that watches this, whether you are watching it here live on YouTube at I'm No Joe or at your podcast source from anchor.fm at I'm No Joe, you can go over to our Discord. Over here on YouTube, it is just constantly on the bottom, running on the banner. And it's also down in the link in the description. Go over to our Discord page. Look at all the fun, punchy, kicky news that does not get brought up on this show every week. And you can go over to the fan Q&A segment. I'm still waiting for people to go to our fan Q&A segment. And just go talk some shit. Go ask questions over there and go have fun. Get immersed in the world that is Punchy Kicky.
He's getting there. I'll turn that kid into a promo machine. Yeah, you just wait.
I'm fucking getting there.
And then, as is the case more often than not, across the octagon, as it were, from myself, my Wednesday night homeboy, my Thursday night combat shit talking compatriot, the one and only Golf T Vapes. How you doing, brother?
Another lovely day in paradise, except for there's no actual kicky punchy this weekend, which, to be quite honest, it's all right to have a break. We need those because otherwise we keep getting fed shit fucking cards. And I say shit loosely because they're still cards, but the matchups really aren't that great. But we also need those not very great matchups to see who's actually going to move themselves to the ranks. But, you know, it'd be perfectly all right with them going down to 2 cards a month, to be quite honest. 1 pay-per-view, 1 non-pay-per-view. It wouldn't hurt my feelings any. And then maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have to split screen so goddamn often to watch 2 fucking different cards at the same time. I'm just saying.
Tell me about it. And we've got, 2 or 3 more of those split screen weekends coming up over the next month or 2 as well. Luckily, there, as of right now, aren't that many going into the winter season, but coming into summer, early fall, there's like 3 or 4 more weekends where we're going to have like UFC and Bellator. And then one weekend, I think we've got UFC, Bellator, and BKFC all on the same Saturday night at different times. Like,
yeah,
I agree. I love having lots of action to talk about, but I like a break as well.
And I want to be able to watch each of them as individuals, not as fuck, which screen do I look at? You know? But it is what it is. The break is duly needed this week. So little submission underground. It's a good break. Because to be quite honest, I may or may not tune in this week for a submission underground. And because in my own personal opinion, the submission underground card, this is the weakest one I think they've ever put together.
I agree with you completely. I hate to say it, but I might be catching a replay Monday morning of this myself. But we'll get into all that ridiculousness and shenanigans in just a little bit. Before we get into all the fun, as we'd like to do around here, I want to give a quick little rundown, a recap, if you will, of some of the fucking ridiculousness that happened in Texas last weekend. I will say this to save us a little time jumping forward. Despite all of the other ridiculous shit that went down on this card in Texas, they did somehow have their athletic commission still get it right. And no one on that card whatsoever got more than a 6-week suspension. Nobody whatsoever. The only people who have the option of being out for longer than 6 weeks are the couple of people that we'll talk about here in a little bit who got significantly hurt. And they're even only out longer than 6 weeks if they're not healed and cleared by a doctor by then, which, with the exception of one, probably will be. So despite the ridiculousness that went on, the athletic commission did at least get the medical suspensions closer to accurately right. Nevada, take a look, pay attention. But for once, we had a very, very interesting early prelim all the way through. The last couple of numbered pay-per-view events we have had, there have been a smattering of interesting matches throughout the earlies, and then the prelims, and then the main cards are generally decent. Last weekend's early prelims were all finishes, top to bottom. Every one of them was a fucking exciting start till it ended fight. Starting right out of the gate with Johnny Munoz and Jamie Simmons. This is another one of those situations where you got to be careful what you wish for, because Jamie Simmons in the run-up to this week said that I want to take Johnny to the ground and I want to submit him. I am better than him everywhere, but I want to prove it on the mat. And then Jamie Simmons leaned forward and Johnny Munoz was like, oh, look, there's your neck. Yank. No. All she fucking wrote. That was a beautiful fucking choke. And the ironic bit was watching Jamie Simmons literally lean right into it after saying that his jiu-jitsu was so much better that he wanted to submit Johnny. So beautiful instant karma in action to open the card up. That brings us to one of the first moments that we saw Saturday night. Props to Melissa Gatto for showing up ready to do fucking work. But for me, the story of that fight was how much of a badass Victoria Leonardo was. We kind of talked about this. I think we talked about it even Saturday night. I don't remember the last time we saw a doctor's stoppage for an arm injury. Generally, if you can have any kind of range of motion and you say you're good, they throw you right the fuck back in there. And then in between rounds, shit can get all kinds of different. But during an active fight like that, I don't remember a doctor stoppage because of an arm injury. And if you go back and look at the clip, there was a literal divot, a discernible void where there should have been arm on Victoria Leonardo Saturday night, and she looked right at the doctor as he squeezed that bitch, and she went, I'm fine, I can keep fighting. We've seen pictures released since then of the x-rays and of the actual injury. That arm was absolutely not fine, and that was absolutely the correct decision for that doctor to stop that fight then and there. But holy shit, when you see how bad that actually was and the straight look on her face telling that doc, nah, get the fuck out of my way, I'm here to fight.
Yeah.
That girl's going to be a problem when that arm heals.
My hat goes off to her for that, because that's a fucking tough thing to do. Like the fight, there's a whole look. Anybody who's never broken a bone, there's a whole lot of pain that comes with a broken bone. I mean, a metric fuck ton. Don't get me wrong.
Especially in the arm, in the long
She was
bone.
already fighting, so her fucking all of her endorphins and stuff were already going. So that works as a natural painkiller. Then once the break happens, then all that shit goes into overdrive. Telling you, she felt it the next day, fucking guaranteed. But what a fucking animal warrior she was. Because you know what?
Yeah.
Wants to go back out. When he says a divot, it looked like there was you could have fucking poured water in here and seen a river flowing through this fucking crevice that was in her arm. It was fucking gnarly looking. Like the doctors absolutely made the right call, saved her from herself, because she wasn't going to save her from herself. She was going to go out on her shield, and she did.
Yeah, she was ready to bang.
Went out on her shield. True consummate professional. Congrats to Melissa Gatto. And the weird part is, I rewatched that fight twice just to see if I could see where the break happened. I still couldn't figure out where the fucking break happened in that fight. Have no fucking earthly clue. I don't know if she just hit it that well.
I think that's what it was. I think she masked it because there was I think it was the BT Sports show that they did yesterday where they were talking about that. At one point, there was a Poirier McGregor-esque check of a kick, but it wasn't directly on the arm. She literally pushed it down, and you see it fluid in the moment. It doesn't look like anything, but when they slow it down, there might have been a bit of an impact. It might have at least set up because it was right in that same fucking area. But in the moment, it was one of those like split-second things that happened so quick nobody saw. But man, no, that was fucking rough, and absolute hats off to fucking Victoria Leonardo for being a fucking animal.
Fuck yes.
That brought us to one of the first legitimate like mic drop moments of Saturday night. We've kind of been keeping an eye on Miles Johns because he's had an interesting journey on his way to where he is now. And he stepped in looking absolutely fit as a fucking fiddle and ready to go Saturday night. Dos Santos looked a little bit odd. He very clearly has changed up a little bit of his appearance. Apparently, they said he changed up a little bit of his camp. Looked a little bit different from the Dos Santos that we had seen before. And Miles Johns came out and was just like, you know what? No, this is my fucking octagon tonight. I'm leading the fucking dance. I'm going to beat the shit out of your legs. I'm going to outstrike the fuck out of you. And the second you leave me that moment, good night, Gracie. One of the most fucking beautiful classes on body shots making a legitimate impact because he worked them in so fucking fluidly, so beautifully. His fucking combinations would go body head as soon as they would open up, body, dip off to the fucking side, just could not be fucking handled. And when that last second fucking clean fucking follow through opened up, he just sent Dos Santos into the fucking nether realms. It was one of those shots that it sounds like a baseball bat hitting a heavy bag when it lands, and you just watch it almost like Max Payne bullet time as Dos Santos just goes over.
Can we just talk about this as well? I want to focus on one thing specifically out of that fight. The fucking leg kicks. Look, we've seen a lot of fighters lately shying away from them after seeing the amount of injuries we've seen with leg kicks and checking leg kicks and things like that, where people have shied away from it as of recently. No, Miles Johns went to the fucking well on this. And I mean, he did. Like,
it was 2014 Jose Aldo vibes up in that motherfucker.
Yeah,
like Rio leg kicks just chopping.
he had Dos Santos visibly fucking just unable to use that leg. He had to switch stances midway through the second round, and I don't think he switched back stances maybe once after that. And that all led it to making it easy for him to pick him apart up top. Look, there's two fucking things when it comes to MMA that are highly underutilized still. The low leg kick and the fucking jab. And last weekend, those two things were on full display, and they were winning fights with those. So just want to put it out there. Miles Johns started a fucking trend last week with the low leg kicks because it did continue later into the card. I mean, he did beautiful work. It was just amazing to see. So hats off on that. And what a clean fucking Chael from body to head. Just
fucking smooth textbook fucking body head goodnight Gracie shot, man. Just as clean as they come. I think that was beautiful.
Fucking absolute joy to watch. And I was very excited to see that one happen because Miles Johns has been fucking interesting to see his rise coming through bantamweight. If he keeps on this track, he could be problems for people.
He could absolutely be a very big threat to the top 5 of this fucking division. If this continues the trend, I think you're absolutely right. This man could be a serious shakeup. 135 seems to be the place to be these days, man. Adding another hardcore fucking contender like that, not a bad thing at all either. So we'll see. Definitely be keeping an eye on that young man as he goes forward. That will bring us into the first bit of legitimate controversy of last Saturday night. Kind of twofold. First and foremost, I don't know if he just hasn't been paying attention or if it hasn't been properly explained to him, but someone needs to sit Manel Cap down and explain to him that if you don't make weight, you can't get a bonus. You have to show up on weight and perform, then you can get eligible for a bonus. Manel Cape missed weight, coming in just the only fighter out of everyone on this fucking card, including one of the largest heavyweights the UFC has to offer, made weight, except for Manel Cap, who literally showed up with 10 minutes left for weigh-in period, and with the box was still 4 pounds over as he was born. That sets you on a bad fucking trend because you're already out 20% of your purse automatically, and now you're not eligible for a bonus anymore. The good thing for him was that he took that motivation and brought it into the cage with him Saturday night and was absolutely doing fucking work. It was a damn good back and forth for what it was while it was. The problem came in when Manel was starting to get worked a little bit and then threw a very precociously placed flying knee at O'Day Osborne. Now, this is where the controversy comes into play because the knee did land. The issue is that in the moment, from the camera's point of view that they showed us, it looked like the knee landed right on O'Day Osborne's chin and just sent him backwards. The issue is that after the match, when they started showing the different options from multiple cameras cage side, you could clearly see from one that was a little further off to the side that when that knee landed, it hit O'Day Osborne in his fucking clavicle. It went right past his chin. It hit him in the shoulder, which is why he went backwards, because a 140-pound man just kneed him in the fucking shoulder. Falling backwards is the next logical fucking step in that situation. The problem is that on all of the instant replays that they've shown, as he's falling backwards, O'Day Osborne is following Manel Cape, puts an arm out to land on, and then immediately puts a hand up because Cape starts to come down to fucking land on him. The ref still jumps in and stops the fight. Is it a win? Technically, yes. Absolutely. Manel got the W. The referee stopped it. It's not Manel's job to decide when it gets stopped. The referee is the one that stepped in and made the call. But, and I mean, Sir Mix-a-Lot writes songs about him sized, but that was not the fucking shot that landed that you tried to pass off the shot that actually was. We could see that after the fact. So the fact that he saw that he didn't land what he claimed he landed and then tried to say, I need that bonus money, Dana, after you missed weight, it really kind of sours a win, which is not what that man needs.
Well, I think the worst part of it is him running his mouth after the fight.
Yeah.
Because to be quite honest, look, I get the controversy in the stoppage because after seeing all the different replays and then seeing the one where it clearly hit his shoulder, there's the part about one, you missed weight. Two, even if you would have made weight, you would have immediately nixed any chance of getting a bonus by the way you were fucking talking on the mic. That doesn't get you bonuses. When you start dropping F-bombs and stuff like that, Dana White goes, yeah, no, that's, if you haven't been paying attention, he said it outright. If it's anything that's going to be seen that's not on the paid per view,
outside the pay-per-view, that's right.
It's outside the paid per view. No, not getting away with it. No chance at a fucking bonus. I mean, you already missed weight, but you could have at least rethought what you were going to say a little bit and adjusted your verbiage. I get it. In the heat of the moment, it can be tough to do that. But at the same time, I think you dropped more F-bombs in fucking 2 minutes than we'd seen Conor McGregor do all fucking year.
Yeah, he let go.
It was ridiculous. And the stoppage, okay, whatever. Ref, possibly a little out of place, whatever the case may have been. Got to save the fighter. I get that. Not mad at the ref because you know what? When you're not expecting a flying knee to come in, all of a sudden that can kind of fucking throw things for a loop. So good on Cap for missing weight and getting a win. Maybe no. You showed up, but I really think that, to be quite honest, across the board, they need to have a 2 pound weight limit where if you miss weight by more than 2 pounds, you can't fight. Yeah, you know what? Look, I get it. If you're, because there's a 1 pound weight limit for you to be over and still be able to fight and be considered making weight. It's not championship weight at that point, but it's making weight. They give you a 1 pound.
Allowance.
Yeah. But the second you go over 2 pounds, they should nix that fight because it's been far too often that we've seen this where somebody comes over, misses weight, and then gets a fucking W out of it and you get a permanent W on your record. No, that shouldn't be a W. They shouldn't have even had the opportunity to fight. I mean, yeah, it sucks for the guy who went and trained his ass off and made fucking weight.
Right.
To not have an opponent, but at the same time, you miss weight, your entire purse should go to that other fighter who made fucking weight. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, if you're within that 2 pound, within 2 pounds over, fine. Still, 20% of your purse, you can fight. I'm not going to hold it against you because you know what? I get it. You came close within a pound of the weight limit. I would even say maybe even up to 3 pounds, but 4 pounds over, fuck you. You don't deserve to fight. Especially
4 pounds over, you're coming in light for the next weight class up. Technically, you're not even weighing in for your weight class anymore. 4 pounds over, you're coming in 1.5 pounds light or 2 pounds light for the next fucking weight class up. That's too much.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He didn't sign up to fight the next fucking weight class up. That's what I'm saying. Then, not to mention on fight day, he's obviously going to be 15 pounds, 20 pounds heavier than you.
Absolutely.
Because he didn't have to work as hard to drop the weight. But you know, it is what it is. And I say, fuck him. To be quite honest, I hope he doesn't get another fight in that weight division.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling, even though he technically got the W, we might not see him in the UFC anymore because he was 0-2 coming into this in the UFC. This was literally his shit or get off the pot moment. And even he said coming into the fight that he knew that if he didn't win, he was most likely getting cut. Even in this situation, I really don't think that win is enough to keep him from getting cut. Like, it wasn't that great of a performance. You missed weight, you talked shit, you ran your mouth, you dropped F-bombs on the fucking ESPN Plus preview or prelims. Like,
fucking,
I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him anyway.
Yeah, I hope they do, to be quite honest.
It sucks, but I'm right there with you. And I was fucking super stoked when they first fucking signed him because they signed him while he was still the reigning champion over in Ryzen. So he came in with a legitimate built hype. He had, earned his way to the top in Ryzen, as much as that's worth, and was coming from that championship position to try and make a dent over here in the UFC, and then literally just shit the bed every time out. So at this point, let him go play in fucking Bellator. They're doing Ryzen cross promotion anyway. He can go fight for his old fucking belt again. But that'll bring us into the actual prelims, which holy fucking shit were kind of the polar opposite of the earlies. These were a bunch of decision fights and then one almost decision fight that really kind of outshined the entire rest of the card for the most part. Opening up with Jessica Penne and Karolina Kowalkiewicz, excuse me. Absolute physical human chess. Neither one of those ladies came out of that fight looking worse than they went in. They both absolutely raised their stock in that fight, in my opinion. Those ladies went back and fucking forth in one of what I will absolutely say was one of the best first rounds we have seen of 2021. They quite literally were just going the fuck after it in a beautiful and technical physical chess match for 4 minutes and 32 seconds. If not for one tiny little mistake by Karolina at the very end of this sequence, this very well could have been one of the most exciting long run fights of the evening. But unfortunately, one wrong turn literally led to the armbar that ended the evening for Karolina. Absolute fucking props to Jessica Penne for having the wherewithal to get that landed and slid in where she did. But man, both of those ladies came out looking like absolute fucking studs Saturday night, in my opinion.
That was a fantastic jiu-jitsu fucking show. I was surprised because when I first started, Karolina had Jessica Penne's number on the feed.
Sure the fuck did.
Surprisingly, going to the ground with her is where it fucking threw me. I was not expecting Karolina to do that. I was expecting a couple more kicks to her legs while she was on the ground until the ref stood him up. But nope, she went in there, and props to her for it, because Jessica Penne is a beast on the fucking ground when it comes to the fucking women's strawweight division.
Fuck yeah.
It still ended up as a great technical chess match. It was a beautiful thing to watch, not to mention the respect both of those women have for each other, both prior to and after the fight. Like, it was amazing to see. Even like if you saw Jessica Penne, she had a post on, what was it, on like Tuesday or Wednesday, where she thanked her and said she looks up to her and respects her and everything. So it's a cool thing to see that when that happens. So props to both of them.
Yeah, absolute fucking love the show. Respect, 100% agree. That brings us though into a very interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Rewatching that, I watched that like at least 5 or 6 more times. I don't think Karolina was intending on rolling back over onto her back.
I don't either.
I
think she wanted to fake it and then roll and pull, and momentum just carried.
If you watch it, whenever she is up on her shoulders, she goes to roll back, like she's pretty much just on her knees. But you have fucking Penne that is grabbing her leg with one hand, holding her arm with her forearm pretty much, and yanking her up and over, pushing her legs to pretty much follow through. And then momentum just fucking took it, which is the fucking fight IQ to be able to still secure the arm and do that with every fucking appendage. That's fucking beautiful.
That's why she's such a beast on the ground, man. There was some wherewithal there.
That was fucking beautiful.
I think my only regret about that fight was that it was the opening fight on the fucking prelims. So the vast majority of people have no fucking idea that took place, let alone how fucking awesome it was. Yeah. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the reasons why I make a point for us to do exactly this, because this fight will get buried in the rest of your ESPN sports coverage of this card throughout the week. And I guarantee you, if you go back, this 4 minutes and 32 seconds are some of the best on the entire fucking card overall. But that'll bring us into the next, I'll say, very educational match on the card. Alonzo Menafield versus Ed Herman. I did not realize how fucking long Ed Herman had been fighting professionally. He basically is middleweight, light heavyweight version of, in my opinion, what Stipe would have been if he was not a firefighter and an MMA fighter. Just an absolute fucking long haul tank. Just a fucking beast. Everywhere that fight went, Ed was ready for it. He might not have been the fresher or the faster in all situations, but he was capable and ready for everywhere and anywhere that fight went. But at this point, when you've been doing it at this level for this long, just being ready for everything isn't enough anymore, as sad as that is. And this was a perfect example of that, in my opinion, because we have seen Alonzo Menafield come out and absolutely fucking whiff like a moron several times, as well as a few absolute starstruck fucking great nights out. This was kind of in between those two. This was just Alonzo that showed up and was on point, ready to go, and had his shit fairly together. He didn't do anything particularly impressive, but he wasn't acting sloppy and getting reckless really either. He fucking gave Ed Herman everything he could fucking handle for 15 minutes. And props to Ed Herman for being a tough son of a bitch, but you can't just get beat up for 15 fucking minutes and expect to stay in the game anymore at this point in your life. If a guy like Alonzo Menafield can just show up and do the basic work and get the W over you, you seriously have to start thinking maybe, unfortunately, it's time to start looking at other options for a career, because this clearly is not going to hold the profit and the prospect for you that it once did. And I love Ed Herman. He's a bad motherfucker, and I will cheer him on until he hangs him up. But honestly, I think that time is getting pretty fucking close.
Look, I saw something a little different here, and not about Ed Herman at all, about Alonzo Menafield. I think, in my personal opinion, this was the best Alonzo Menafield we've seen as far as being measured attacks, not overextending himself, because those times where he's whiffed, he's overextending himself, going for a fucking immediate kill.
Yeah.
But this was another one. If we track back to an earlier fight where I said fucking leg kicks play a huge part in this, he tore Ed Herman's leg the fuck up. He had a calf on his shin, on the front, not the back, the fucking front. They even had the doctors come in between rounds 2 and 3 to look at it. So what did Ed Herman do, being the bad motherfucker he is? Jumps up and down on it to say, I'm fine, I can fight. His shin looked like fucking Joanna's fucking face after fighting Wiley Zhang. Fucking, it was this. It was a fucking Klingon on his shin. It was fucking massive.
Yeah.
And that's not taking anything away from Ed Herman, but what I saw out of Alonzo Menafield impressed me for this reason. He looked measured. He wasn't overextending himself, and he wasn't just trying to throw everything with power like he's done before. That's fucked him and caused him to gas and shit the bed. To be honest, I think this is a better Alonzo Menafield than we've seen yet, but because he didn't finish Ed Herman, it deteriorates what we actually saw.
Yeah, so, I could see that.
I think if he continues that route and continues to keep that up, I think he'll get better, but I can't put my eggs in his basket still, because we've seen really great things where he's had those instantly fuck somebody up, but he does have knockout power. There is that.
Yep.
But we've also seen those times where he goes all out and gasses himself and then gets fucked up. So I think this measured approach was the right approach for him. And maybe it was the right approach for Ed Herman because he knows Ed Herman's durable. Right. But if he can keep that up and stay a little bit more measured, I think we can still see really good things out of Alonzo Menafield, because he has had some flashes of greatness. But looking measured like that, I still think that's the best Alonzo we've seen. Even with the great finishes that we've seen from him, I still think this is the best because of that whole being able to be measured and not overextend himself. And one other thing. Can we talk about he has you look at a dude that's stacked like that, he has probably one of the smallest voices you'll ever see on somebody stacked like that. It's funny as hell because you expect this big, deep, rumbling voice, and you get this high little squeaky pitched voice. Fucking weirdest
like
thing
a
ever.
Tyson almost.
Yeah, he's like a fucking night, and he sounds like a high school kid, like a high school fucking wrestler. It's fucking great. Yeah, it made me laugh because we don't hear him talk too often because some of the other ones where he's had finishes, they weren't on cards where they were interviewing everybody. And so when you hear it and you look at him, you go, that voice doesn't match that body. If you were playing Guess Who, you would not guess who.
Right. I think if he can stay consistent like this, I'll agree. But based on past performances, I'm skeptical to think that this is actually how he's going to be going forward. If he is, I will be happy to be proven wrong, but we have reason to suspect.
My mentality on that, I think the same way, but that's why I think this was his best performance ever because of the measured approach. Not because he did anything spectacular, but because he kept from doing the dumb shit that's got him fucked up and completely whiffing on easy pitches, so that's where I think this is probably his best performance. I'm not saying that's going to continue to happen because, like you said, based on his past performances, I don't know, but if he can, there could be some cool things that happen for him.
And I agree and I disagree all at the same damn time. I absolutely agree with you, TJ. He was more held back. His corner and his camp, I'm assuming, is probably really fucking working hard. Kind of how Tyson's coach got him to really just contain everything and be more meticulous with his approach in the cage, like how Tyson did it with Roy Jones Jr. Because he was very, very conservative. But if he would have fought any other light heavyweight fighter in the division, that man could have gotten knocked out about 27 times. Anytime Menifield got somewhat close, he would always do a quick left jab that maybe landed 9 times out of 10, really didn't, but he was utilizing a jab, and he would always swing a real wide, nasty, sloppy, disgusting right hook, leaving his entire face open. Head kick, jabs, anything you could possibly go for, going for a takedown. He's completely just open for any type of fucking attack. It's, if you're in the light heavyweight division, there's a lot of fucking people that would love to snatch your legs out from underneath you. He really needs to work on standing defense, his hands, and just still defending himself as his hands are being let loose. Because that is a very fucking stupid thing to do, especially in a fucking power hungry division like a light heavyweight division.
Yeah, that's that. And it's actually ironic that you point that out, because when he was doing that, we actually were calling him out during the fight, because that's the same thing that he did against Devin Clark when Devin Clark beat the shit out of him for it. Every time he would throw that jab and then just throw his whole arm all the way out, Devin Clark was just fucking sticking him for it. I guess Ed just didn't watch that tape particularly, but yeah, it was real reminiscent of that same thing. But if he can clean it up and hold it together, Alonzo can actually probably start to put together a good little run here. That's Ed Herman's a big name to have on your fucking resume and have the W over. As weird of a fight as that was, it's still a good name to have on your fucking resume. So we'll definitely see how he holds it together going forward. That, however, brought us to one of the best fights on the entire whole of the evening. The power of the mullet compels you, so saith the universe. Vince Morales came out with the mulleted wonder in his corner, one Ricky Simone looking absolutely fucking glorious with that backlot just a swaying in the fucking breeze. Great great back and forth battle between Draco Rodriguez and Vince Morales, but Morales was just quicker and more accurate, and everywhere he was the MasterCard of the fight. He was everywhere you want to be. Like, if you needed to be up front on the striking, Morales would get the better of the exchanges, and they were almost always give and takes. Everybody took a shot in almost every exchange. But when it came to fucking takedown, Morales had the better of the fucking legs, also had the better of the defense. When it came to the ground fighting, what little there was, Morales had the better of the control 9 times out of fucking 10, and just overall unanimous decision victory, but goddamn great back and forth. It's just hard to root against anybody with a mullet like that in their fucking corner. And we called it before the fight even fucking started when we saw him. And sure the fuck enough, yeah, absolute great fucking back and forth. Which also led us into another one of the greatest fights of the evening. Ironically enough, also another fucking decision though. Bobby Green versus Rafael Fiziev. Holy fucking shit. This is another one of those situations where hats off to Bobby Green for being a tough son of a bitch. But Rafael Fiziev showed up to do fucking work Saturday night. Again, another story of left jabs and low kicks, because every fucking time Bobby stood still, and he did a lot, Rafael was either piecing him up and following through with a good fucking combination, or just kicking the absolute shit out of Bobby's fucking legs from both sides, because he was switching stances while he was doing it as well. Props to Bobby for fucking staying in there and absolutely starting to try and come back a little bit there in that third round. But this was absolutely the fucking Fiziev show. He came in and just went fucking crazy with measured ferocity. It was fucking beautiful to watch, because every time Bobby Green tried to get sloppy or tried to get flashier, put his hands down to do something stupid, Fiziev was right there to fucking capitalize on every fucking time and made him pay for every one of his stupid little fucking gimmicky moves that Bobby Green does a lot of. I will say, I do agree with Big John and basically everyone else who has come out in the last couple days in the WTF column, because despite getting the absolute correct justified win, Rafael Fiziev on one of the judges' scorecards, ironically the one from Texas, not Sal D'Amato or Chris Lee, gave the fight 30-27 to Fiziev, when both D'Amato and Chris Lee and pretty much everyone who watched the fight gave Bobby Green that third round and made it a 29-28, still unanimous, but 29-28 unanimous decision for Fiziev, because Bobby Green did make a hell of a fucking comeback in that third round and did more overall than Fiziev did.
He easily won that third round. Fucking, and which that did bring up one thing that I noticed in that fight. Yeah, Fiziev brought it, but he needs to work on his gas tank.
Yeah,
badly. Because at fucking lightweight, if you slow that much down in the third round, you're going to absolutely get destroyed. The other thing that did prove, Bobby Green's gas tank is still fucking phenomenal.
It absolutely is.
Because, like, if you looked at his output was kind of like Max Holloway. Starts a little slow, but then it progressively got more through the fight. Like, Bobby Green did that. Fiziev kept pretty good, solid, and the same output throughout the fight until the third round. Like, you saw him slowly start to dip off at the end of the second, but not much. But when he came out for the fucking third, there was a definitive fucking just decline, and you could see him gasping a little bit here and there for fucking breath. So outside of his first and second round, he did fucking great in those 2 rounds, but he definitely needs to work on the cardio, because if you're going to do that kind of output for that long, you need to get your cardio back up, because his fitness was definitely hurting a little bit there, and that did cost him a perfect fucking 30-27, because he was not getting Bobby Green out of there, because Bobby Green was still ducking and diving a lot of fucking punches, because he does have a good bob and weave, but he was still catching them too. So, but that was, to be quite honest, so far, that's one of the best fights we've seen this year.
Fuck yeah. Well, and just like we were talking about earlier, this is another one of those situations where the second that fight was over, it switched from a fight to an absolute fucking respect show, to the extent that Biziev actually walked away from the microphone to give Bobby Green knuckles again after the fight was over. And then once they got to the back, Biziev and Bobby Green spent the next 15 minutes taking pictures with each other for each other's Instagrams. It was fucking awesome to see. Nothing but fucking utmost respect and sportsmanship between the two of them afterwards. And that's just one of the fucking main reasons why I love this shit so much.
Fuck yeah, it's amazing to watch. Those two were fucking class acts after that. That was awesome to see.
So that's when things get a little weird, because this is where this changes from a UFC early prelim card to a UFC OnlyFans episode, because they made people pay to see you dong. Casey Kenny versus Song Yadong was a very interesting opening fight for this card. This is another one of those situations where we just had an example of it and we get another one right away. This turned out to be a split decision in favor of Song Yadong, because one of those fucking stupid ass judges, I'll let you guess which one, actually thought that Casey Kenny won this fight. And he's probably the only person besides Casey Kenny and his corner who thought that. Anyone who saw this fucking match saw that Song Yadong beat the fucking shit and just slapped Casey Kenny around for 15 fucking minutes. He came out literally without a fucking scratch on his face, not even breathing hard, while Casey Kenny had a nice little swell going from here to here, and a fucking bullshit cage jump after he was declared the loser. I thought that was particularly tactless of, you lost the fight, you confirmed got the fight lost, and then you still jumped up on the cage and tried to do the fucking I won thing anyway. Sit down, son. Sit the fuck down. Granted, maybe not Song Yadong's best performance ever, but absolutely more than enough to beat Casey Kenny that showed up on Saturday night. So I still, again, even though we had a moron judge trying to fuck things up, agree with the overall outcome of the fight. That, though, will bring us to the rematch that no one asked for. And surprisingly enough, kind of like we said last week, went exactly the same fucking way that the first fight did. Because as much as they are not the same person age-wise as they were when they fought the first time, they are still both very much technique and style-wise the same fighter that they were when they met those years ago. And surprising to no one, the fucking same exact result came out with, again, another 30-27 decision for Tisha. She out-countered Angela. She outstruck her overall. She was faster. She was cleaner. It was the exact same fucking fight, just time removed from the first one. That's why no one wanted to fucking see it again.
I'll say it since nobody else said it. To be honest, this Tisha looked better than the last Tisha that we saw out, even though she did win her last fight. She was a lot more crisp this time.
Absolutely.
Albeit the same kind of fighter, but a lot more crisp and on point. And
yeah, no, she did look good. Absolutely.
Her dance partner was fucking garbage, but you know.
Yeah, no, Tisha did look good, but it was kind of easy for Tisha to look good in a situation where she was 100% familiar with exactly what she was going up against and did exactly what she knew she needed to do and won again. So hats off to Tisha for the W. I still don't get why I believe she is now 7-9 in the UFC. Angela Hill is still catching hype for some fucking reason. I get that she's taking a bunch of short notice fights. That's cool if you win them, or at least make them competitive. But she's taken a bunch of short notice fights and lost most of them and have not made most of them look very competitive, and now has a sub 500 record on top of that. now also losing rematches that she should have been able to win on paper, according to her. Now we are no longer pre-USADA. We're in the USADA time, so this should have been an easy W, and she still couldn't pull it out. So honestly, I think Angela Hill is 2 more garbage fights away from being a Bellator fighter. Realistically, I get that you took a bunch of short notice fights that you did when the UFC needed somebody to step up. You stepped up, and I get that, but you still fucking lost almost every single one of them. And then you lost the fights that you wanted, that you had time to prepare for. You still shit the bed. So stepping up when the UFC needed you to only carries you so fucking far, and I think we've about reached the end of that credit. That being said, that will bring us into one of the absolutely most exciting fights on the fucking card. We talked about it a good bit last weekend, and I giggled quite a bit when this one played out. Michael Chiesa versus Vicente Luque. This is another one of those. This fight was 3.5 minutes long, and it was 3.5 minutes of fucking action. Very much like the Jessica Penne and Carolina fight, this was a damn good demonstration of physical chess being enacted in the form of jiu-jitsu in an octagon. It was fairly evenly matched when it was on the feet, but when it went to the ground is when you really got to see the showcasing take place here and the real shine come loose. Because despite the way that it ended, Michael Chiesa came in and was ready to fucking end this thing. He knew his game plan. He was ready to stick to it, and he came in fucking going for it. But much like we saw in that Carolina fight earlier, you make a mistake against a high-level fucking jiu-jitsu practitioner, and it more often than not will cost you. This is exactly one of those situations, because despite Chiesa having the absolute fucking advantage when this fight went to the ground, Luque is the one who capitalized on the transitions and absolutely sank one of the most fucking beautiful spinning into back take chokes we have seen in such a long fucking time. The darts that he locked in and rolled with and held so fucking perfectly, you could use for an instructional seminar. Like, he absolutely put it where it had to go, how it had to be there, and then held it despite the adversity and got the fucking tap. And then once again, immediate fucking respect and sportsmanship the second the fucking match is over from both fucking guys. You love to fucking see it. This is another one of those where, despite tapping and getting submitted, I don't feel that Chiesa has really lost that much stock in this loss. Kind of as well as Luque will absolutely gain a little bit of notoriety from this, but I still don't feel like it's going to be enough to carry him into that title fight that he's calling for after Colby gets his bullshit under their fucking shot next. Absolutely fucking brilliantly done by Luque, and I absolutely believe he should be next in line. But knowing the way that the UFC works and how he started not in the best of positions despite the win, I don't know that he's actually going to be the next guy in line.
To be quite honest, that was the one way I did not see the fight ending. Of anybody getting submitted, I thought it was going to be Luque, because Chiesa's ground game is way better than Luque's. However, Luque fucking found an opening and fucking got it. Like, and I don't think Chiesa was counting on him having that kind of fucking
you could see it surprised him.
Yeah, I think it was he got caught off guard. So I don't think he thought his submission game was that strong, because Chiesa's a fantastic fucking grappler. Like, that's how he got himself through fucking The Ultimate Fighter, and
choked all kinds of motherfuckers.
Just saying, you didn't see it going that way, but Chiesa, class in defeat, and fucking there was class on Vicente Luque at the end. Like, this was one of those cards where if you want to teach your kids sportsmanship, this is one of those cards you have them watch.
Yes. Well, and the best part is that Chiesa even doubled down on that, because during fight week last week, still did a fucking 2-hour UFC podcast with Paul Felder talking about the entirety of the card of 265, And then day before yesterday, after the loss, no tail between his legs and hiding, still showed up again and did a 2-hour podcast with Felder talking all about 265 and giving all the praise in the fucking world to Luque for catching him. Class fucking act, man. If you guys don't know Michael Chiesa's story, it is one of them you genuinely should go up. That dude has been a bona fide fucking good guy since he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and you saw what kind of character he really fucking has. And then seeing him do shit like this after a loss and just standing there like a fucking man and owning that shit and then praising the guy that fucking beat him, he really is one of those examples that you can point to people and say, this is what mixed martial arts is supposed to be. This is a mixed martial artist. That being said, that will bring us into one of the strangest co-main events I can remember in recent times. Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz at bantamweight. That sentence alone is strange enough to say out loud, but what makes it even stranger is the sentence that I'm going to follow it with. Jose Aldo looks better at 135 pounds in 2021 than he did at 145 pounds in 2015. He is in better condition with better utilization of his abilities in a weight class down in 2021 than I think he was when he was the king of the featherweights, rocking the 145 world for almost a decade. Everything we used to love about Jose Aldo was on display Saturday night. He brought the leg kicks back. He brought the fucking snappy jabs back. His fucking defense was on point. His movement was constant. He looks better now than he did in his fucking prime, in my opinion. And that's such a fucking weird thing to say. It was even weirder to see, I'm telling you now. But I think he's on the money. I think Jose knows exactly what he needs to do here. He's not going to get a title fight, despite the fact that after 15 hard minutes with Pedro Munoz, he was unanimously declared the winner by all the judges and everyone who saw that fight. He absolutely won that, no doubt about it whatsoever. But that performance was not enough to get you a title fight with what's going on in bantamweight right now. With all the insanity and the top of the 135-pound division right now, that fight's not going to put you on the short list for contender. But what he said before the fight and then what he doubled down on after the fight is that the next thing that makes the most sense for both him and the UFC is TJ fucking Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw is going to be out for a little while, but a short while after he recovers. He's talking about coming back in November or December. Jose Aldo said they could finish out 2021 or start 2022, but he thinks that that's the best matchup, and I absolutely agree. If TJ wants to confirm himself at the top of the 135-pound division after 2 fucking years on the sideline because he got caught juicing, I think this new Jose Aldo that we're seeing is absolutely the way to punch your fucking ticket. And I think that works the other way around. If Jose wants to solidify himself as the top of this new division for him, taking out somebody like TJ fucking Dillashaw, who's back and USADA verified now, is absolutely the right way to punch your ticket and stamp yourself at the top of that fucking heap. So props to, again, a great fucking sportsmanship and showing of Pedro Munoz when that came out. Nothing but fucking praise and fucking, consideration and respect from Munoz after he lost that. But I think TJ Dillashaw and Jose Aldo is the next thing for the UFC because I don't think either one of them are ready for that title yet. But I think the win off of either one could be the push that they need. That being said, though, I don't know if this is how everyone thought it was going to go, but a fair vocal majority of us thought that this is kind of how Saturday night was going to go. We talked about it last week on the show, and it was absolutely confirmed Saturday night. There was way too much pressure for Derek Lewis to be able to do a goddamn thing against Cyril Gahn. And it was very, very reminiscent on his part of the Derek Lewis fight, where once again, the pressure was too much and he could not fucking perform. At least against Lewis, or against Ngannou rather. Ngannou was feeling the same fucking pressure from the lights, and he couldn't perform either. That was not the case when he fought Cyril Gahn Saturday night. Cyril Gahn showed up and was just absolutely ready to beat the shit out of whatever version of Derek Lewis was presented to him. He showed up at 245 pounds, ready to fucking go. He was bouncing from the moment the fight started till the moment the fight stopped. Cyril Gahn was always on his toes. He was always moving, and he never let Derek Lewis get any kind of rhythm or read on him throughout the entirety of the fight that we saw. He outstruck Derek Lewis. I believe the final count was something to the tune of 116-8 throughout the course of the fight. Derek just literally couldn't do anything. And the one time we saw him try to actually let loose and engage, it was sloppy, and Cyril Gahn made him fucking pay for it dearly. And then at the end of the fucking match, Cyril Gahn had him figured out, tuned him up, and just shut him down. Point blank, period. Nothing left for him to do but lay down and hold his head in shame on the fucking canvas. Derek Lewis absolutely put himself in this position and then paid for it at the end of the night. Now we have a French interim heavyweight champion and a French Cameroon heavyweight champion that they absolutely are very intelligently going to try to unify the belt in Paris now that MMA is legal in France. Derek folded like a fucking taco, man.
Dude, he didn't throw half of the number of punches that he normally throws in a fight, in a 3-round fight. Not half. So he was super gun shy, and I think a lot of that had to do with the pressure. And to be quite honest, watching him walk out and get into the octagon, it looked like he could feel the pressure on him at that point. Like it hadn't left him yet. Like somebody needed to hit him in the fucking back room to go, motherfucker.
Right? Yeah. Good clean one right there to reset your fucking brain.
Yeah, reset his brain, get him into fight mode, because he was not in it when he got there. And for me, that's a sad thing, because to be quite honest, I said it last week. He had a good chance of fucking winning the fight, but he had to throw a punch to win the fight. His total landed punch count was 16 for the entirety of the fight. That was 3 rounds. So let's divide that by fucking 4, guys, or by 3. Where are we at? You're just 4 and some change per round, basically. 4 and a third, or some shit like that.
Right.
But either way, it's fucking terrible. Absolute fucking dog shit from him. Like, you can't win a fight on just fucking that few fucking punches, especially not when you have a practitioner like Cyril Gahn in front of you.
Oh, no,
But
man.
the other part of this, I think, that still pisses me off, this fight was still overhyped. Because this is exactly what we knew was going to happen when you say, oh, we're going to make this an interim title fight now. Well, again, why? Stupid. Look, if they would have just said winner of this is going to fight for the title, fine. I bet you would have seen a different Derek Lewis out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then possibly a Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou, and then pissed off at himself enough from the last time he fought Francis that he might actually go out there and swing for the goddamn fences.
Right.
But
well,
now,
and to his credit, that's exactly what Cyril Gahn said in his what do they call it, the pre-fight presser or whatever. He said, I'm not looking at this as an interim heavyweight or an interim title fight, rather. I'm looking at this as a number one contender fight. The winner of this will fight for the belt. That interim status doesn't mean anything to me. And you could see exactly that on Saturday night. He came in like this is a contender fight, whereas Derek came in as this is an interim title fight, and the pressure was visibly different.
You know what's funny about that, him saying that? I didn't see him take the fucking strap off after they put it around his fucking waist, though, either.
He didn't carry it to the fucking press conference afterwards, though.
Fair enough, but still.
The press conference without it. He let the UFC do their ceremonial thing. He let them put the show on, and then he showed up at the press conference as Cyril fucking Gane, not as the interim title fight holder.
Yeah.
So
it was a fucking weird a weird thing. And of all the fight cards to fucking make people paid for, this was not it. Don't get me wrong, there wasn't really a boring fight on the card like we've had in the past. They were all pretty solid for the most part. Some were much better than others, but definitely not pay-per-view worthy in my opinion. This was a fight night card, like an overly stacked fight night card.
Exactly. It felt like a fight night card too. It didn't really feel like a pay-per-view. It really did feel like a fight night card all the way through.
Speaking of this, let's bring this all back 100% full circle here. Last week we were talking about why was Joe Rogan not there? And I thought about it afterwards, and I'm a dumbass. Joe Rogan was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He had a show planned here for like 6 fucking months. So this was already planned prior to this fucking event in Houston. So
they just chose to report it at the last minute to stir the fucking pot exactly like they did.
Yeah, because after I saw where he was performing, I was like, oh yeah, I remember fucking like 6-8 months ago, they were selling pre-sale tickets for it here locally because I live in Wisconsin. So they were fucking, hey, Joe Rogan's going to be here in Milwaukee. Buy pre-sale tickets. So after I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Now I know why he wasn't there, because this has been on his books for a long fucking time. And he doesn't come to Wisconsin very often unless it's to hunt. Right. So he's kind of like Jim Miller. They come to Wisconsin to shoot our deer and then they leave. They're kind of like fucking fibs. Bunch of Illinois bastards, you know. Come in and shoot our deer and leave.
Yeah, I can see that. Wrapping this up for the UFC card though. We got maybe one of the strangest turnabouts as far as bonuses go that I think we've seen out of the UFC, at least of 2021 so far. So Dana White sits down in the post-fight press conference. He gives you the numbers on the gate and the door and the pay-per-views and all the bullshit. And then he gets to the important part, the part that we're all waiting for, the bonuses. Fight of the night, to the surprise of almost no one, Bobby Green versus Rafael Fiziev. The best back and fucking forth of the whole goddamn card. Those gentlemen earned themselves that fucking bonus. Then we get an interesting little tidbit. He says, we're feeling generous tonight, so we're going to do 3 performance bonuses. He goes, oh, Jessica Penne. Absolutely. That fucking submission for after that back and forth absolutely earned a fucking bonus, in my opinion. Vicente Luque, that again, same situation back and forth. I get it. Absolutely. And then Miles Johns, because that fucking beautiful body head 1-2 that we said when it happened, that was bonus money right there. We saw when that fucking went on, we knew that was going to be a bonus worthy fucking event. But as if it wasn't weird enough that Dana did 3 bonuses, as soon as he said that, one of the reporters in the front row says, what about Cyril Gane? And you see that click and Dana's eyes get this fucking big. And he literally looks to the side and he goes, Sean, why the fuck didn't anybody say anything about Cyril Gane? How could we forget about Gane? No, fuck that. We'll do an extra one. We're doing 4. Cyril's getting a fucking bonus too. Slap my ass and call me Sally. Dana White might have a fucking conscience after all. It's going to be buried deep down in there, and it's going to be real hard to get to, but there might be one down there after all.
I doubt it. It was just he didn't want to look like the asshole in front of everybody when somebody called him on it. There's no conscience there.
I would think so, if not for what RJ and I were talking about earlier. Spoiler alert to anyone listening or watching and has not seen this week's episode of The Ultimate Fighter. This was the Coaches Challenge Week, the part that Dana always, quote unquote, looks forward to every season. This season, they played cornhole. And Brian Ortega just bitch slapped Alexander Volkanovski stupid in that game after a very fucking hilarious prank to open the episode. But the moment that I'm talking about here comes after the game. It has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. When the game is over and Dana White announces Brian Ortega just won 10 grand and every one of his fighters on his team gets $1,500 as well, Brian Ortega, in the moment, without missing a beat, without blinking, immediately says, okay, Dana, I'm going to put you on the spot now. And Dana goes, what? And he goes, can I have 2 G's more? Dana says, what? And he says, can I have 2 more thousand? Dana goes, fuck it, why not? Sure. Brian goes, thank you. And he turns around and he goes, so my 10 grand plus that 2 grand goes to all of Volkanovski's fighters. So every fucking fighter here gets $1,500 to go home with. I don't need it. Mic drop, motherfuckers. Like, squeezed extra 2 G's out of Dana and then does the most beautiful on the spot charity moment and walks off like a fucking boss.
Yeah, and
It's still my black little fucking heart, dude.
you know what the greatest part about that is for those of you who haven't been watching The Ultimate Fighter, they've been really trying to make him look like he's a fucking shitbag.
They've been trying to paint him as the asshole this whole season. They really have.
And don't get me wrong, he's been having a lot of fun. Fucking someone hit the fucking donkey prank to start everything out in early. That was fucking great. And then the gigantic when I say gigantic, I mean those are fucking human size eating motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
No, but the dude's fucking funny. Although I will say Volkanovski's prank with the clocks probably the best prank so far.
I laughed so fucking hard when he put the clock.
Yeah, and he's sitting there in his fucking bungee smugglers.
Ortega walks in and says, I thought that was just a big fucking cuckoo.
When he did that though after the fucking Coaches Challenge, that tells you what kind of person he is. So I mean, look, they can try to paint him in any light that you want, but that's just a fucking class act, man. Yeah,
and you can tell that's one of those things. He didn't have to do that. He just won 10 G's, and he bragged in the beginning. As soon as he found out that they were playing cornhole, he looked right over at Henner and he goes, my boy, you already know we got this money. Before it even started, he knew he had Volkanovski's ass, because this ain't the kind of thing that they do in Australia. He was completely out fucking numbered for this. He was completely out of the fucking element here. So he knew right out the gate. But to show that kind of fucking character when he didn't have to.
Yeah.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. But that being said, that'll bring us to this week's tiny little condensed down news and recent events segment, because there really isn't a whole lot. We've got a couple of fight announcements and a couple of interesting little tidbits that do need to be talked about real quick. The first big fight announcement that we got, August 28th card, Sean Brady is officially out. But Kevin Lee was looking to keep that fight booked to get somebody to step in, and we got somebody to step in. D-Rod stepped the fuck in. Daniel Rodriguez on short notice will take on the resurging Kevin Lee, coming back from the full recovery of his fucking knee surgery. Daniel Rodriguez steps in to take him on short notice August 28th. I think that's going to be a fucking spectacular fight now. I was okay with seeing Brady against Kevin Lee coming back now, but I'm even more excited about fucking D-Rod getting in there against him. I'm excited about that. That's going to be a good one. We also got the official once, two, threes, fourth rebooking of Alex Perez versus Matt Schnell. They have now confirmed all parties involved are healthy. Contracts are signed. September 4th is the we're getting this fight or we're not going to make it again moment. I think that's too many times to have made this goddamn fight, but we've got number 4 locked in. It's either going down September 4th or it's not fucking going down, and I'm glad we put a sugar off the pot for it. We did also get this week official confirmation from the UFC that UFC 267 will take place October 30th live and only on ESPN and ESPN Plus. No pay-per-view. October 30th from Abu Dhabi, not Fight Island. They have finally let go of the fucking Fight Island catchphrase. It is just Abu Dhabi again, but we are going back again in a little over 2 months here, and we are going to have one of the first non-pay-per-view UFC numbered events in recent history. And if you've been paying attention, this is the card that we were talking about. They have been absolutely fucking stacking fights onto. So they're going to give us not only a non-pay-per-view numbered card, but it's going to be a fucking banger from Abu Dhabi. So I'm in for it. I can't fucking wait to see what actually turns out to be that card, because as we know, there's a lot of time between now and the end of October, and bad things happen very quickly when cards get close. So once we get closer to that, I'll get more excited. But it's very cool news to find out this early that it's not going to be a pay-per-view card. That's kind of fucking crazy. We did get a little bit of strange news this week. The Triller boxing card for September 11th to be headlined by Vitor Belfort versus Oscar De La Hoya just had its co-main event announced this week. None other than Anderson the Spider Silva versus Tito Ortiz in the boxing ring. Triller is now getting into the full business of putting on these quote-unquote celebrity-style boxing matches, but these are both supposed to be professional boxing matches, so non-exhibition matches.
Can we call this OFL?
It
Or
kind of is,
OGFL,
isn't it?
Old Guy Fight League?
Yeah, it kind of is.
Because that's what it.
Don't get me wrong. If that's what you're going to do, lean into it, Triller. Take hold of it and just bring all the old guys out and let them fight like this. If that's going to be your MO going forward, cool. Just embrace it. But don't try and tell me you're a fucking sports entertainment company putting on the highest level matchups when your fucking headline card is Vitor Belfort versus Oscar De La Hoya to be co-mained by Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz, all in boxing. Honestly, I almost hope Anderson just knocks him the fuck out so we don't have to hear from Tito again anytime soon. But knowing the way that Tito works, even if he gets knocked the fuck out, we'll still hear him running his fucking mouth Monday morning afterwards. So I don't think there's a win in this situation for any of us, really. But it's going to be a glorious shit show.
I mean, if Tito wins, that's just more help with court funds.
Yeah, no shit. And he's going to need it for that tax fraud. Fucking idiot.
This is going to be some more money so I can put towards a good attorney.
Yep.
That's
I need one.
all that is, to be quite honest.
All right. But we've got two more little pieces that I want to bring up real quick before we get into this weekend's breakdown. The first one was kind of a sad news. The second one is a very sad news. So the first one, we found out this week that officially Ronaldo Souza, affectionately known to the world as Jacare, has officially retired from MMA. He has said that he may consider a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament in the future, depending on how his body feels, because it's not contact like the MMA is, and he knows that he's getting to be the age where contact sports just aren't for him anymore. So he is officially retired from MMA, and man, as weird as it is, this is one of those situations where I would rather see a legend leave too early and be able to form full sentences than to leave too late and have to eat through a spoon or a tube the rest of his fucking life. You know,
I think this was right on time for him. Like, I don't see it as too late. I don't see it as too early. This was the proper time for him, in my opinion. I'm glad and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
First, thank you for the amazing performances that we've got to see out of you for over the last decade. I mean, dude, you've done so much for the sport. Take your time, enjoy yourself. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll see him in Submission Underground, because that would be a cool place to see him end up.
That would be awesome.
And don't get me wrong, there's more than just Submission Underground out there. You've got some other fucking major fucking things like, well, what was it? Fucking back in the day, Kinetic and some other ones like that.
Yeah.
There's
Shit,
plenty.
He could go back to ADCC if he wanted to, really.
Yeah. I mean, and anything non-contact like that. And don't get me wrong, there is some contact when it comes to fucking jiu-jitsu, but it's not the same kind of contact that you're looking at fucking catching knees and elbows and shit like that. So
Punch and shit, yeah.
good on him.
But that'll bring us to the last thing that I want to talk about here real quick in the news and recent events segment. And like I said, it's not a happy thing. It's definitely a sad thing, but it's also one of those things that it needs to be addressed. Even if it's just on a fucking small channel like mine, where 7 fucking people might hear this, and of those 7, one of them might tell somebody else. This is still the type of story that needs to be talked about, and it won't be. They officially sentenced yesterday one of the 4 men that were involved in Vape's killing in Auckland, New Zealand last year. For those of you who don't know the story, Vape was one of the city kickboxing trainees who basically was Israel Adesanya and Dan Hooker's training partners, one of the main core dudes in their group for years now. He and his brother were cornered by 4 men who were on video camera, chased into a corner, defending themselves from 4 men who attacked them, and Vape ended up dying as a result of his injuries. 4 men have officially been charged with his death. One of them is in a strange situation because he may or may not be turning state's evidence, but they refuse to name him because he's involved in it. The man who instigated the incident is the one who was sentenced this week. And the reason that this is a big deal is because this man initiated the engagement that resulted in Vape dying. This man was the one who was on camera assaulting him and getting everyone else involved in the actions that resulted in his death. And for that crime, they have sentenced this man to 6 months of house arrest. That boils my fucking blood to the extent that I don't have a good enough vocabulary to describe how mad it makes me. It isn't bad enough that these fucking cowards had to jump these 2 brothers 4-on-2. It wasn't bad enough that they're pleading not guilty to this when they're on camera assaulting these men and resulting in one of them dying. But then the quote unquote justice system gives this man 6 months of house arrest. Vape deserves better than that. A man died because these cowards' actions, and 6 months of house arrest is not going to make that right. I genuinely hope someone in that government steps in real fucking quick, because this is a fucking atrocity to the human race. R.I.P. Vape. Fuck cowards. That being said, we're going to try and lighten up a little bit. So we're going to go to that point that, unfortunately, for those of you listening, will not get to see the amazing and just blood-curdlingly terrifying gift that comes on the screen to let you know that this is the point where we transition the show into the pit. That being said, this particular episode of the pit is not like most of the others we have done so far, in that this weekend we have only one outing for us to talk about. That one outing is going to be on UFC Fight Pass Sunday night, August 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern, in the form of Uncle Chael's Submission Underground 26. Unfortunately, this, like we mentioned a little bit earlier, is not the biggest card to get excited about. There is a little bit of name slash star slash talent value on this card, but for the most part, it doesn't pack a whole lot of punch. So this is going to make for an extra interesting round of the pit, as RJ is already running away. But we're going to try and keep it fairly easy going here. We can't make it too difficult when the card you got to work with is a little bit difficult to work with to begin with. So to start this one out here, we're going to go right for the baseline. We're going to attack the main event right away. So my question to you, gentlemen, for round one: tag team Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is this it, or is this shit? Golf team, being the returning champion here, we will give you the first option to give your thoughts on tag team Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu via Uncle Chael.
All right. Here we go. All right. Is this it, or is this shit? Let's start here. This could be it, or this could be shit. I'm going to go with the latter. This is shit, because this is not where anybody expects me to go with this. I like the idea of tag team jiu-jitsu. However, if I wanted to watch a tag team match where somebody else can intervene while I'm in the middle of something, I'm going to watch WWF or WWE that they're now calling it. To be quite honest, I enjoy jiu-jitsu events mano y mano, not mano y tag this guy while I hold his fucking legs shit. No. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, but it's not it. I like the one-on-one, see the actual intricate dances that go on between the fucking practitioners. It's not it for me. But I mean, teach their own. C'est la vie.
Interesting indeed. So that will bring the question back to you, Mr. Young Gunner. Tag team Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is this it, or is this shit? Floor is yours, sir.
All right. So for me personally, I am a person that is deeply invested into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I've been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 11 years of my life at this point. I love the idea because it's different. It's an innovation, so to speak, but it just ain't it, Chief. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, watching it and competing in it, it's a dance going back and forth. And as TJ kind of said, being able to get a position to where you can drag yourself across to real quickly tag out, that's not a dance. That's a fucking ballet. That's hey, look at this guy. Now look at this guy real quick, who's not on the ground with a fucking toe hold putting in work. That's just not it for me. I like the concept because it's different, it's innovative, but with the way they're doing it, it's just not it.
Interesting. Good points on both accounts here. I do have to say that I both agree and disagree with both of you here. I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a tag team form absolutely could be it. If this format hadn't been sabotaged from the beginning when Team Simone, not Team ATT, was forced to change their name, their outfits, and their entire approach to this whole concept, and have subsequently never been able to recover due to the dastardly deeds done unto them by Uncle Chael and Heather Standish themselves. I'm looking at both of you directly through Instagram. But I also agree that in the iteration that we've seen, this ain't it. This is just shit. I think it had potential early on, but I think what it's become just doesn't work. The Kyle Boehm and Vinny Magalhaes versus fucking Craig match was crazy, but I think after that, and then when they let Team Simone enter and then made them change their name, made them change their outfit, and then change the whole format of the whole thing, it went weird. So the point for round one here, due to going into just a little bit more depth on their answer, is going to go to the young gunner. RJ gets round one. So going in for round two, we have a very unique, I think is a good way to describe it, a very unique co-main event this weekend, in one Danilo Marquez coming back to take on Zangief himself, Gabriel Checo. So in the one-on-one return to submission underground stylings here of our co-main event, how do you see this co-main event playing out? Who do you think takes it in the co-main? RJ, we'll let you go first this round.
I have to say, I would say Checo, mainly because he has done a lot more work in showing what he's done on the ground. I don't watch a lot of submission underground. Let me just throw that out there. I've watched it a little bit. Both fights that I did watch, Checo was on it, and looking at what he can do, what he can do with what's given, I think he can do much more on the ground than his opponent. He's just there. He can roll more smooth and just get down and just do a little bit cleaner work.
So, Galti, question goes to you. Co-main event, Zangief versus Danilo Marquez. How do you think this one plays out?
This is a bit of a toss-up because, and I say it for this reason, Zangief, over his last 4 events, he's lost 3. Of course, one of them to Craig Jones. Understandable, you're going to lose that. Right. William Tackett, probably should not have fucking tapped to, of all things, a neck crank. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, generally neck cranks aren't it. And then he lost to fucking Kevin Casey. Really? It really makes me rethink his goddamn grappling. However, on the other side, Marquez has been more lately working on getting knocked out via punches in the UFC as recently as less than 2 months ago. This is where this becomes a toss-up to me. Is his fucking brain fully healed from being fucking standing TKO'd or not? To be quite honest, as much as I hate to say it, I have to lean towards Zangief winning this one because I don't think Marquez is going to be completely fully there. And he's also lost he's fucking just coming off a standing loss to a Kennedy and Zuku. Of all of the fighters you lose to, I know that's not grappling related, but still, his last couple wins, decisions, and then one rear naked choke back in February against Mike Rodriguez, which is an absolute fucking nobody. So I have to give it to Checo, even though he has lost to some absolute shitbags and one good fucking grappler.
Interesting. Very interesting points here. Yeah, Kennedy and Chukwu is the one who just TKO'd the fuck out of him. That was absolutely fucking devastating as well. But Mike Rodriguez, you might have forgotten, was Buff Obama.
Yep.
It was Swolbama, as we called him on the evening.
Yep, I remember. And he did
But
RNC him fucking second round.
fuck did. I've got to say, I think you boys are on point here. I definitely agree. I think Zangief gets it done. I don't know if Marquez has enough of fucking strength base to begin with to fight off Zangief, but especially coming off just getting his ass handed to him in the UFC not that long ago, I think this is most likely going to be Zangief's fight to lose here, essentially. So for going into a little bit more detail on that round, we are going to give that one to the champ. TJ gets points for round 2. So that will bring us to round 3. Round 3, we're going to get a little bit more interesting here, since we know that BKFC doesn't have too terribly much to offer us. So round 3 is going to get a little outside the box, as it were. So for round 3's question here, which is the worst matchup on September 11th? Is it Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz, or is it Vitor Belfort versus Oscar De La Hoya? RJ, we'll let you go first on this one.
Fuck both of them. If TJ doesn't say it, I'm gonna say it. Fuck both of them. You got Vitor Belfort, a washed up piece of shit that wants to lie and say, "Oh, I trained boxing with the Olympic team," which they instantly came out and like, "Oh, no, you didn't." Versus a actual boxer, somebody that this is his entire life, this is his family lineage, goes back to throwing hands with those fucked up, stupid looking gloves on their hands, and like just legends. That family births nothing but legends. And then you get into Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz, which both of them in their heyday, they were absolute destroyers on their feet. Anderson Silva a little bit more still, because he's still there. He still can fucking put in work on his feet. Then you have a washed up Tito Ortiz who hasn't done shit in years, who whenever he made try to make his return to Bellator, that was a fucking joke. And he's probably running at, hey, let me try and get some money for fucking court fees. Kind of like I said earlier, you're taking away what Tito Ortiz was a little bit good at, which was his ground game, because whenever he got somebody to the ground, that was fucking it. They weren't getting back up. Versus Anderson Silva, who could sit there one hand behind his back and beat the fuck out of 80% of the people in the UFC and some fucking professional boxers. They're both trash.
Valid point. So, Coffee, I eagerly await your thoughts on this matter here.
All right. I'm going to go one step above RJ here. See, not fuck both of those matches. Fuck Triller. Triller can go jump in front of a moving semi, get run over, start on fire, and then I wouldn't piss on him to put him out nor call 911. I just fucking leave the motherfuckers lay. This is the shittiest organization that anything could possibly fucking ask for. You want to put on celebrity boxing matches? Go back over to MTV and run fucking celebrity boxing over there. Fucking call Barstool Sports. Get in one of their events, for Christ's sakes. It's fucking terrible. As far as the worst fight is concerned, they're both absolutely fucking horrid. To be quite honest, why are we watching Vitor Belfort fight and Oscar De La Hoya, who hasn't fought in what, fucking 15 years? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. And Vitor, again, to reiterate on this, never actually trained with an Olympic boxing team, lying piece of shit. He does have fast hands. That's one thing we can give him. but they're not boxing fast hands. They're fucking MMA fast hands, and there's a difference. So that part, he will get chewed up by Oscar. Even Oscar being fucking however many fucking years removed from his last fight and possibly snorting coke alpha hookers' asses.
In high heels and fishnets.
Yeah, man, I wasn't gonna go that quite that far, but okay, sure. We'll add that into there. And then you come to Anderson Silva, who I legitimately think still has a hold on being able to do stand-up striking. Why would they allow, of all people, to throw as a co-main event, put Tito Ortiz in there? A completely disgraced, sorry piece of shit.
You should get ready to skin free.
I'm just saying, Tito, be gone. Absolute fucking trash. I say that's the worst fight purely because of bringing a disgraced fucking former MMA fighter who was good at one point, but can't even hold office in a public office without being a shitbag. Yeah, it's not Anderson Silva's fault that fight's garbage. It's all fucking Tito. Blame Triller. They're the shit. Fucking terrible fucking promotion. Those of you who are listening on the podcast, there are air quotes here when I say promotion, because they're not a fucking promotion. They're a fucking circus. And they're letting in the fucking circus trash. So I have to say it's Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz purely because you're allowing that piece of trash in there. It's bad enough what you have listed as your main event, but to let in Tito into this mix, there is no fucking reason for that unless somebody went, oh, hey, I heard you need a lawyer. We have really good lawyers at Triller because we put some really stupid shit together, so we need lawyers.
Right.
So I think there might be a little something hidden there, but that's definitely the worst fight on the card. But still, as a whole, thing that trumps it all, fuck Triller.
Interesting points. Interesting points. I agree. Vitor is an absolute lying piece of shit. That whole fucking claim about training with the 2000 Olympic boxing team was easily discredited immediately by the people who were actually there. So that absolutely makes him scumbag numero uno right off the gate. And the fact that they're going to put that douchebag in their main event definitely says something. I absolutely agree as well. Tito needs that fucking lawyer money. That scumbag needs all the help he can get, period. But that fight being added to that card, I really don't think helped them as much as they thought it was gonna. I gotta say, overall, we're gonna have to give the point for round 3 here to TJ. I agree, Vitor is a piece of shit, but ultimately he's right. This does fall back to ultimately Triller. They're putting this shit show on and they're leaning into the turd curve. So reap what you sow. In this case, I agree. Triller is absolutely the one to blame here. So for round 4, we're going to stay outside the box a little bit here. Throw it back to the news again a little bit here. So for round 4, I have a question. Does Jacare actually stay retired? Or does he sit out for 6 months, get the itch, realize he's still in good shape, and try and make some sort of a small comeback? TJ, we'll let you take this one first.
I'm willing to take the lead on this one. Jacare is a very fucking intelligent fighter when it comes to MMA. That's why his career has been as long as it has been. However, I think with being that intelligent, that's going to carry over into the retirement side of the house. I think he realizes he can't still put up the best that he did even 5 years ago. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he got knocked out off of from somebody on their back. For those of you who fucking missed that fight, which was fucking absolutely crazy, but way to go, Mr. Holland. That's all I can say there. But still, I think he stays away. I don't think we see him come back because I think he's had a long enough career and he understands that. And he knows he can't keep up with where the sport is going at this point. So I think he makes the smart decision here, and he's going to be one of the few fighters we see not get that itch and come back. If I'm wrong in 6 months, feel free to call me out on it. I think he's just between his fight IQ and what he's been through, he knows. He knows.
Right. RJ, same to you, sir. What do you think? Do we actually see Jacare hang him up and stay hung up, or do we see him get the itch like a lot of fighters do once he's been out for a little while and decide he's got to make another run for it?
I'm with TJ. I absolutely agree with how intelligent he is. I don't think he's going to come back. One, with the injury that he took, and him realizing, hey, dude, I'm getting up in my fucking years. My body, it's not gonna heal right, and it's not gonna heal as quick as I want it to. Two, he has to be realizing that this is a new era of monsters in the up and comers and MMA in general, not even just the UFC, just MMA in general, is the kids that can do everything just as good as you can, quicker than you can, and make it look better than you can. I think he is just like, hey, this is it. I think he's going to go do something like Submission Underground, Combat Jiu-Jitsu, just something like that to keep that itch at bay. Because at the end of the day, that man's bread and butter is his ground game. That's what he got started in mixed martial arts. He started out as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. That was his bread and butter. I think he's going to stay to some sort of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions. Maybe see him in the UFC as a commentator, because he would be a damn good commentator with his knowledge of the sport, alike of the Dominic Cruz on Saturday.
Very interesting. Very interesting points. I agree with Will Deer. I don't think we see him back in the octagon anytime soon. I agree 100%. I think he's more than smart enough to realize that I have to hang them up now. I can't keep getting punched in the face. And I agree with RJ as well. I think there's a real good chance we see him come back to some sort of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if not just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, then maybe even commentating for the UFC's Brazilian broadcast. We know there are several other gentlemen down there who are currently doing that, who are not nearly as qualified as Jacare is to be doing that. So that absolutely could be another one. So for bringing up the great commentating point here, we're going to give round 4 to RJ. So that means that we are all tied up and we are going into sudden death overtime here. One question to rule them all. The winner will be determined by this answer. Gentlemen, your final question of the evening. Who is the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner currently active in MMA right now? TJ, with Champion's Prerogative, we will give you the option. You can either take this one first or you can pass it to the kid.
Let's see what the young guy has to say. Let's let him let her rip, Tater Chip.
All right. Well, with that, RJ, who is the best active Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in mixed martial arts today? The floor is yours, sir.
Fuck, are we just staying in MMA?
Yep.
Fuck. God damn it, dude. I don't fucking know. Because I was hoping you would say that, well, in combat sports, and I was gonna go with the fucking my 10th planet fucking the 10th planet fucking breakdancing boy. Fuck. I don't know. I don't know. Fuck. God fucking damn it. I don't know. I really don't. Let me think of just fucking BJJ practitioners. Oh. Damn, I don't fucking know, man. Oh, God.
I think RJ just blank screen bet all his money on his Final Jeopardy answer here.
I did. I don't know. I couldn't fucking think of one person.
I tell you what, to make this fair, we're still going to give Galti a chance here. He could always whiff and leave you wide open. You never know. Stranger things have happened. So, with that being said, Galti, the question comes back to you. Best active BJJ practitioner in MMA right now. You have one
I'm
minute,
going to
sir.
say this just to be a smart ass because I think it's funny now. And it's not that I don't know or don't have an idea, but I'm going to go this route. Somebody nobody would pick in a fucking 1,000 years right now. Chase Hooper. Fucking Ben Askren Jr. Kid's a great BJJ practitioner, greatest MMA fighter. Not really. He definitely needs work on his hands. But as far as a BJJ practitioner, he's fucking great. Like you watch him when he's fighting, anytime he gets into a ground situation, even if he's taking blows, he's still looking for submissions. And nobody's going to think of him because he's not top ranked. You don't see him against big fighters yet. He's still a relatively unknown. So I would say Chase Hooper just for shits and giggles. Definitely not my first pick as to who's actually at the top of that list because there are some fucking amazing fucking guys out there. You could even argue with fucking like the Korean Zombie to be up there because he's a great practitioner as well. You could fucking Jim Miller, fucking there's a multitude of them that are great practitioners. Fuck, we just seen one last week. I mean, unfortunately, he got fucking choked out by Vicente Luque. But you know, there's a bunch of them out there. But right now, let's go fucking off the map, relatively unknown, and go Chase Hooper just because you know what. Your casual fans aren't going to know who he is. I mean, we talk about him quite a bit on here, but as a casual, they're not going to know him.
Interesting. We're definitely going to have to step in here. We're definitely going to need to do that thing. So this is a very tough decision here, and I wouldn't want to make such a tough decision so half-hearted. So I think I might need some outside consulting on this one here. I think to make sure that I get this very close decision right, I might have to bring in a little bit of help to make sure we get all the ones carried and the I's dotted and the T's crossed. I think.
Don't forget about the W's. Gotta have the W's too.
Gotta keep the W's in mind. So for such a tough and critical decision as this, we're going to bring in some outside help here. So I've got a note scribbled pad here full of information down, but what say you, our casual clown? What do you think? Who do you think really captured the essence on this final question here?
I mean, not to throw no salt or nothing, but there was only one answer. I'm not trying to throw no salt, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go with Mr. Golf T Vapes himself.
You know, I tried to make sure we had every opportunity for everything to be equal across the board, and I have to say that is probably one of the best utilizations of championship prerogative we have seen to date. He quite literally stumped the young gunner into non-answership on the final game-winning round. So I think I'm going to have to agree here. After carrying all these ones, dotting all these I's, I think the final point, the round and the game for the evening is going to have to go to our returning champion, Mr. Golf T Vapes here. I will say, RJ put up a valiant effort, took it right down to the line, but as they say, you can't leave it in the judge's hands, and you especially can't leave it in the judge's hands if you don't throw a punch in the final round.
I'd be throwing punches too.
That being said, boys and girls, that's going to be all we've got for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. Thank you all for tuning in live. If you are here with us in the chat, we saw you and we appreciate you. Thank you to everyone else who listens to this the week after it comes out. We appreciate you just the same. You can follow the I'm No Joe podcast on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We even have our own Discord server now that you can join and ask fan questions that we will ask live for you here. If you enjoy what we do on the I'm No Joe podcast, make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. If you really like what we do around here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe gives you access to behind the scenes, unaired and unairable footage, and it just helps us do what we do around here. But before we get out of here, I do want to thank these gentlemen for their time. So, Mr. Golf T, as the champion of the episode, please let these fine folks know where they can find you once the show is over, should they need some, I don't know, maybe directions to a crossface crippler or how to find themselves some tasty cheese curds up that Wisconsin way.
Wednesday nights, right here on the YouTube's 9:30 Central Time. Of course, every Thursday, right here on the I'm No Joe channel. And if I'm here, you know there's going to be a fight because the pit ain't going to bloody itself. I may as well do the work for it. No, RJ did fantastic. I can't believe I blanked him. I was not expecting that at the end there. And to be quite honest, you actually threw me for a loop because I had somebody else in mind, but then I was like, well, fuck it. If this is going to happen, we're going to have a little fun here. But no, that was a good time. He had some fantastic fucking answers to roll on tonight. And to be quite honest, considering the shitty shit we had to work with this week, well done on the questions this week. Hold on. I've got a couple in mind coming up when we have another one of these shit show situations. So I'll have to either put you in so you can get in there and tussle a little bit, and I'll do some questions for you or something moving forward. Because I got a few that rolled around today when I was thinking about them going, what are we going to fucking do for questions? Because it's a shit show.
Absolutely. And we will most definitely get back to that as well. But thank you for your time, sir. Very much appreciated. So if somebody wants to know how they can prepare to blank on a final question, how can they reach out after the show's over and give you all kinds of shit, RJ?
Well, you can always hit me up over there at Go Fuck Yourself. Over at RJMMA Official on Instagram. I should have just said me because I had so many fucking names going through my head all at once. I couldn't put like at first it was like, Paul Craig. And I'm like, wait, that's not his name. Wait, what the fuck? Who am I thinking of? I couldn't put a name together. But I was like, yeah, that was right. That's the Bear Jew. But you can always hit me up over at RJMMA Official on Instagram or our Discord page, which is linked in the description of this video. As TJ mentioned, our fan Q&A section on there. I'd like to see some questions so we can answer them. She's fucking looking at you, chat. But yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, it was a pretty fun fucking show tonight.
Well, thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are going to call that all for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. If you haven't, give us a thumbs down. Not that we give a fuck, but we understand that's your opinion. We are going to call it all for this particular episode, though. So remember, until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it's Andrew Cuomo running for another term.
People's champ.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what